Dr. Strangelove, but the actual movie was based on a chap, Peter Sellers played a character who was based on a person in real life whose name was Thomas Kuhn. And Kuhn, K-U-H-N, began thinking about what would happen if we ever actually used nuclear weapons. And he began developing he asked a friend of his, what should I call these? A friend of his was in Hollywood, and he said, well, we call these plots scenarios. And that's how we got scenario planning and strategic planning that Rohit referred to. And this character, which is so objectionable, is based on Kuhn's work, because Kuhn, a journalist said, was thinking the unthinkable. In other words, it was so morally reprehensible to think about nuclear winter, to think about a nuclear exchange. You just can't think about it. But then you're stuck in that first stage of denial where we won't actually do anything because thinking the unthinkable itself is so objectionable. So when Rohit said, don't react to this, don't deny it, don't object to it morally, just begin to think about it. So this movie was based on thinking the unthinkable. And in fact, when Kuhn heard this journalist characterizing his work, he liked it so much he said, that's what I must call my next book, Thinking the Unthinkable. And it was not that he liked nuclear war. It was he felt it's only when we fully understand the implications of nuclear war that we will ever avoid it in the first place. And so it is with peak oil, and so it is with airline travel, and so it is with the profound changes that can occur to our industry. It's only when we embrace them as opposed to morally reject them because they're so objectionable at a gut level that we'll begin to actually do something about it. You know, Albert Einstein, not only did he say, holy crap, I'm out of time, he said, we cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that we were at when we got into the problem in the first place. Now, the truck people on the pier didn't quite understand that. They just felt that if they applied bigger trucks, it would solve their problems, right? But no, we actually have to change how we see and how we think about the problems that we're facing. This is China. This is a beautiful day in China. Here's another day to work in China. In fact, you can't breathe some days in China. The smog is so thick. And so in some ways, China is trading material wealth for ecological poverty. And that can't go on forever. I mean, we are reaching the break point on so many things. You think smog days are bad in Toronto. Try Shanghai. The other thing which we think about is we continually looking for new supply, which is the wrong way to look at it. You know, as a cab industry, the Crown Victoria Ford gets 14 miles to the gallon, whereas my Prius gets over 52. And if every car in North America got the same mileage as a Prius, there would be no oil imports into any of North America. So the greatest source of energy is inefficiency. But we don't think of efficiency as an energy source. It requires a fundamental shift in the way we think. I was at NSA. I'm no longer a member of NSA, but early in my career I was. And I was down in 95 at, I think it was Minneapolis then. And Andy Grove was invited to speak for 15 minutes. Now, as an executive of a multi-billion-dollar industry, there was no way he was going to fly all the way up to Minneapolis for a 15-minute speech. So he appeared to us by teleconference. That's back in 95. Now, it only took 15 minutes out of his schedule, and today you can do that from your desktop. So how, you know, these remote meetings that Rohit began to talk about, how will they impact our industry? We can significantly add value without a carbon footprint with this and have a profound impact. I mean, it was an honor to have, the head of Intel speak to us at that 95 conference. My mother-in-law, who I told you yesterday, had breast cancer. When we found out she had breast cancer, my wife and I, what did we do? We bought her a laptop. Why? Because all the studies show that when you're more engaged in your recovery as a patient, when you feel empowered and in control, you heal better. It changes your actual mentality about how you see the illness. She at times knew no more about new drugs than her doctor. His response? Get mad at her. Right? How does this change the medical model when the patient has more information than the doctor? How does that change? And we'll see, how's this going to change the meeting industry? Encyclopedia Britannica used to come out every 10 years, 32 volumes, hundreds of pounds, thousands of dollars. Well, today, Wikipedia has more entries, and they're updated by the minute or by the hour. In fact, the media quoted Wikipedia in the tsunami over other media sources because it was more robust, faster up, boom. Now imagine a political party that used a wiki to develop its political platform. And I'm proud to tell you the Green Party of Canada, and sorry about the partisan mention, but was the first political party anywhere in the world to involve members of the party in actually creating the platform using a wiki in 2004. Now, what's the real value? Shouldn't you have top, bright strategists who have secret insights in polling, devising the wedge issues that will... This is a grassroots involvement. No commitment. The 60,000 people who were involved in that platform development were galvanized and became ambassadors of that platform, which created this grassroots movement. Lorenzo's Oil. Anybody seen the movie with Nick Nolte? Here we have two parents who are so passionate, who before the internet used libraries. They were really highly intelligent white-collar individuals. But imagine that people, the lay people, are actually able to solve the problems the doctors are unable to solve. This is the power of the internet and of the wiki, and it turns on its head this notion of power is information. Because now we all have the information, and how we use it, assemble it, distribute it, interact with it, becomes possible. This guy, Joe Trippi, he was Howard Dean's campaign manager in his 2003 presidential bid that flamed out. But he took Howard Dean from 432 known supporters to 640,000 raving Deaniacs. He raised more money than any Democrat had ever raised in the history of the U.S., including Clinton while he was a sitting president running for re-election. They raised $15.7 million in a single quarter. The most ever had been Clinton at 10.5. How did he do it? He used the internet to empower people to work collectively, collaboratively, like using Wikipedia in new mechanisms. And he wrote a book, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. It's absolutely fascinating if you want to study a political organizing strategy. Imagine that before your event, you had a wiki that allowed, like open spaces that Rohit was talking about, the participants to self-decide and organize what the agenda of your event is going to be. Imagine that they get so excited and involved in it that they actually not only push out the themes or what they want the breakouts to cover, but that in turn leads to which speakers you select. Do you think they're going to show up at your event? They were involved in the design at the grassroots level beforehand. You've got to believe they're going to get excited. The one and two things, number one and two always, into why do people come to meetings are the content and the networking.